We're just back with Mayor Lanigan for the 25th time. So I don't know. No,
Is it getting played out yet?
no, it's it gets play.
Oh, okay.
It does
All
get
right,
play.
It's like Mr. Beast. He does the same videos all the time, but it's working for him.
It's still, people just still like to tune out.
In our morning podcasting that started, the Sentinel Today started probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It had no one, but then you see the trickle, and then there's just like this constant, like the more you just do it and have it out there, like they just look for it more, and it just really does. It grabs them, It's good content. I mean, from the mouth of the mayor.
And I get a lot of
Forget
comments.
the Facebook comments. This is
exactly.
Let's see them try to spin
this is
Wesley.
right from.
I mean,
the head of the snake. I guess we could.
Wow.
That's all I can say is wow.
But
anything hot? What's going on? Forget our questions yet. What's on the mind? Top of mind? We got coffee delivery coming soon. I can hear it coming. But
here it comes.
It's already
Wait
on
a
the
minute.
way. I like it.
Oh, look at them.
Look at that.
Look at that. We got waters. Oh, the splash.
Man, that is
Do you
nice.
see
Look
the
at that.
service that happens?
Wow.
in here?
This
You see
this is great.
Staff are well rounded.
Do you have a resume with you? Do you have a resume with you? We're always looking for good help at City Hall. I mean,
I have a business card that Brad just got me. So
perfect.
See, that'll bite you right in the ass.
Yeah. Notice the name though. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Hold on. All right. So what's going on in your world? What's the update? What can we use here? What can we talk about?
So kind of the update is we're moving along with kind of the rehabbing from the tornado. Right now, obviously, when you drive through the city, it's the snow's melted, so you're starting to see a lot of the debris that's still out there. So our guys are out there cleaning up. They got a good head start because of kind of the break in the weather here that we ended up with a halfway decent March. So we're doing that. We're moving forward with the Longs Auto Electric building. That's going to be coming down shortly. I don't know if you saw the big news, but the Burger King sign finally got fixed.
I did see that.
Now,
the
did they buy
Wendy's
that off
sign
of?
came-
Did they buy that off of eBay?
It does look
Looks
old,
like it's from
doesn't it?
1974.
It does. I thought the same
Is
thing.
retro back?
It's a vintage sign. I think.
I think they
went.
eBayed it.
I think they went vintage. But
Now,
I
when's
did
Wendy's going
notice
to
it.
get together?
So Wendy's took their sign down.
Okay.
So after the Burger King sign went up, Wendy's has completely taken their whole sign down now. I'm assuming that they're just waiting for their new one to come in, but they didn't want to be the only one on the block with the damaged sign anymore.
Right.
So,
Right.
Which was good because we've been on top of them trying to get those resolved. But it's just, it's a waiting process. They had to wait for the signs to come in and then get the crews to put them up. So those were good
Supply
things.
chain issues.
Supply everything. COVID.
That's you got
Everything's
COVID.
everything's. We still blame it on COVID in 2025. So yeah.
All right, so
that's-
let's go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything's moving along with that. We're moving forward with the Triangle site. Hopefully that's coming right along, and we're hoping to have some good news for that coming up in the near future.
I did see on the was there warehouse plans for the warehouse back? I just saw a comment on Facebook about what's going to happen to the
Ridge Street?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So we can talk about
let's get
that.
into it.
Yeah. That stuff. All people have to do is call my office and ask a question. I mean,
And how is that the best way?
Yes,
Emails, call,
I try as best as I can, and a lot of times on Fridays is when I do it because it's we call it office catch-up time, and I can sit there and return phone calls and things like that. But when anybody has a question regarding their neighborhood or something going on in the city, we encourage them to call, and somebody will call them back and give them an update. And that Ridge Street property, it's privately owned. I can't just roll in without going through a due process and rip down somebody's privately owned building. And we've been working with the owners of that building right from day 2 after the tornado. We called all the major buildings in and we met with them, and we've been working with them, and they've been going through structural engineering reports and trying to salvage the building. And they finally got through the process, and it's not going to be financially feasible to do it. So at this time right now, we're moving forward with the next step, which we're hoping is going to be the building coming down, and we're going to be making that area, shovel ready for development. But it's a process, and people, if you call and ask a question, I'm more than happy to explain it to you and say, hey, this is where we're at. We have to give these property owners the ability to fix their properties and try to salvage what they've already invested in their, in their properties. So, but our codes department did a great job with them, and I was working with the owner who was very cooperative throughout the whole process, and we finally just come to a resolution that it's just not going to be salvageable, so we're going to move on to the next steps. So that'll be coming down very shortly.
And I cut you out on the triangle. Is there kind of like a soft plan for that or timing or?
So we have some people that are highly interested in the site. Obviously, it's a huge developable site with the acquisition of the golf course over there. I mean, we're over 500 acres that's going to be able to be developed, and with the $20 million coming from the state for the site, it's a great opportunity for somebody that's looking to move into our area. So we have some some things going on that we're hoping are going to come to fruition very shortly, and that'll be a great thing for this area and this community.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. So what
That's
was
fine.
anything else? What else I got?
No, I mean that's kind of where we're at right now.
I'm interested, Wes.
No, that's good.
You know?
You're an active listener.
I
You are?
try. Don't tell my wife that.
I was going to say your wife says the complete opposite. So
That was a good high level review.
yeah,
Well
like
done.
it.
You're kind of growing into this job, aren't
yeah,
you?
it's you got to figure it out at some point, right?
Second turn.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Honestly, well, I can only hope that goes a little bit smoother.
Well, do we want to hit some? Well, we talked about having a little bit of a show here, hitting some of the rumor mill stuff on the people, places, and things of Rome, nouns of Rome, whatever that Facebook site is. Do you want to hit some?
Absolutely.
We got a little list here.
Like I said,
I'm excited. I haven't looked at this. I kind of let you kind of take the reins on this, but
I mean,
let's
let's take a look. See,
Yeah, I just when you guys
that way it's kind of like
talked
calling you.
about
You
it,
can tell us what's
absolutely.
really going on.
Absolutely, I'm all for it.
Let me find some of the interesting.
yeah, do a little filtering. Or unless wait, or do you already? Wait a minute. He knows the list. Is there anything like that was just like the number one? Like we got to talk about this.
Honestly, I think a lot of it needs to be talked about.
Okay.
And, the big thing is I understand it's campaign season. You know what I mean? You have people that are running for positions within our city, and I'm all for that. I'm for the younger generation getting involved. I'm for change and new eyes onto things. But at the same time, you need to bring something to the table, and it can't just be throwing out misinformation to the public and saying this is what I want to change. Well, you can't change it because it's misinformation. It's not correct.
Right.
And to do that as a political candidate, I think is a terrible approach, and it really doesn't benefit our community. And our community is in such a positive direction right now that I really hate to see it. And I just don't get involved in the whole Facebook stuff. I really don't. I don't spend too much time reading all that stuff.
Well, we're going to change that now.
Exactly. So a lot of it comes from my
Here.
staff that
Yeah.
says, "Hey,
Did
somebody."
you see this?
so, Yeah.
To be fair, we do instill and try to control the narrative. Like if you are out there and direct and there's reference points or there's places people can hey just at least see this link or it is really good and but because one loud voice can be really really annoying and
Well, very true.
Yeah.
so here
Very,
we go.
very true. All right, hit me with one, Brad.
How about here's some
Wes,
some
sorry.
fire department questions.
Yes.
Of course, public safety is a big thing.
Absolutely.
You have a background in the police side of things, but the fire department, this one's pretty interesting for me. Here's one thing that was written was about the fire department has ripped and worn out gear, including cracked helmets and no laces for boots.
How dare you?
Absolutely. So obviously,
Explain yourself.
So absolutely, public safety is number one in my book. I've said it right from campaigning to today. That's number one in a community, because if you don't have a safe community, you're never going to get people to move here. You're never going to get businesses here. So public safety is always number one to me. The funny thing when I heard about that one, that the fire department has ripped gear, cracked helmets, and no laces in their boots. Have you guys ever seen a fireman's boot?
I thought they were like a heavy rubber, no laces. But
Yeah, exactly.
There's
They
no
pull
laces.
them up. There's no laces. So that's actually a true
it's
statement
but
that they don't
they're
have
not
laces.
supposed to be laces,
But
right.
I don't know if I'd use that as a negative thing. So an actual fireman's boot, they pull it up. It's a rubber boot that they pull up. If they're referring to the boots that they wear on a daily basis throughout the firehouse, the city doesn't supply those. Those are their
That's
boots.
their own footwear.
Yes, that's their
That's
own.
their
That's their
fashion.
own
Yeah.
footwear. We actually, police and fire, both receive money every year for equipment that we can purchase. Whether it's $300, $400 for things like buying boots. But the city does not supply the boots nor the laces that go in those boots. So I couldn't really when I saw that one. And as far as their equipment goes, they have everything that they need. I spoke with the fire chief. They just did an equipment inspection in December. Nobody had any cracked helmets or torn gear or anything like that. That was not usable. But they do. Chief Grotch and his deputies do a great job of making sure that those guys have everything that they need. So that couldn't be any farther from the truth.
On the public safety side for equipment and stuff, is there a pretty regular schedule on a lot of stuff? Like, hey, this engine's going to time out here. Is it all pretty routine, or is it really just okay? Now it's time. Or
The fire department
probably,
has
right?
the fire department has suggestions when it comes to. They have actual I don't know the exact name, but a fire association, whether it's national or it's New York State, that gives recommendations of what they need. So if you see like with the fire truck, they say that a first line fire truck should only be operational for 10 years, and then it needs to be moved to a backup rig. That's a great recommendation, but those fire trucks, as you can see, cost anywhere from $800 to $2 million, depending on how big of a rig it is.
Small line.
So how can a city that's trying to manage a budget say every 10 years we're going to buy a $500,000 or a $1 million to a $2 million fire truck? So sometimes those numbers run a little bit longer, but we also do a great job maintaining our equipment. Our equipment is all kept inside heated garages. Our guys do a great job maintaining them. They wash them after they go out for service. So our equipment is able to maintain a little bit longer. So, some of those things they do extend out, but it's all based upon, you got to imagine a fire truck in New York City or LA gets used a lot more than a fire truck in Rome, New York. So to have that national averages, it's kind of skewed a little bit. Right. But yes, there is recommendations. Obviously, their turnout gear has, a 5-year lifespan, and they're going to get new equipment. But our chiefs do a great job of making sure that they get the stuff they need. But on the other side of that, I know because I come from the police side, when you get your turnout gear and you've worn it for 5 years, it's comfortable, it fits, it's got some burn marks, so you got some street cred out there.
Broken in nicely to you.
It's broken in nicely. So sometimes you get the guys that they get the new equipment, but it sits in the locker because they like their old jacket, they like their old pants, it fits better, it's got some memories in it. So you run into that, but the chief makes sure that's why they do the equipment inspections and say, hey, where's your new equipment?
Easy.
So
that was an easy one. I give you a softball.
All right, that was a soft one.
Good one.
But we're going to stick on the fire department.
Okay.
Because this one,
Give me the next one.
new fire department pumper truck was purchased, paid for, and scheduled for delivery when that mean Mayor Lanigan canceled it.
Damn you.
What do you say to this,
Yeah.
sir?
All right, so fire truck.
Fire truck.
So the fire truck that they're referring to was in 2023, the previous administration put out a wish list to Sentinel and said, this is what we're going to spend the remaining ARPA funding on. Inside of that wish list was a pumper truck for the fire department. And it came in quoted about $800 and something thousand. That never went any farther than a story with the Sentinel. We
had it on paper.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had a reference.
So when you do things like that, the mayor needs to propose legislation to get those things done and send it to the Common Council for their approval. Once that happens, I can then sign a contract. Once the Common Council
those weren't done?
Those were not done.
So it was
never
purely
sent.
a wish list.
It was not signed, sealed, and delivered?
Okay.
Got it.
All right, sorry.
It never went to the council. The council never approved it. And I think a lot of that was the previous administration didn't have a working relationship with the council. And at that time, I remember when it happened, she never even spoke with the council prior to putting out that wish list. They found out the same time that the Sentinel sent the story. So I really think that a lot of those things wouldn't have gotten through, and I think the prior administration knew that, but it was campaign season. They wanted to put out and say, hey,
PR play,
and absolutely.
get some fire,
but at the same time, you didn't do the things you needed to do, because honestly, if they would have signed that contract, if they would have proposed that to the council, they would have approved that legislation. They would have signed that contract at $800,000. You're locked in. So when I came into office, the fire department came to me and said, hey, we still want to order this pumper truck. I said, okay, great. Get me the quote. because the
Need a new
previous
quote.
quote was only 60 days or whatever it was. They get me a new quote. That pumper truck went up to $1.2 million. And I said, wait, what happened?
Man, I need those increases in my business.
Exactly. So I said, hey, what
That's a good-
happened?
good
And
rep.
absolutely. So they just said everything went up, and so now it was an increase of $400,000 that we would have had to put an additional $400,000 from the ARPA into there, and we'd already bought 2 fire trucks with ARPA funding. I said, hey, we need to do more throughout the city with this funding and do more of a positive impact, and we've always bonded for fire trucks. So we also looked into grant opportunities for the fire trucks. So actually for 2025, we brought in a grant writer for the fire department to do that, to apply for. So the truck
That should be a
was not
very good-
ordered. The truck was not on its way to delivery, and I called them and told them to turn around. But this year, obviously, we just passed that I ordered a new fire truck, the same exact one that they were going to get for $1.2 million. But this time, we'll bond for it, and then at the same time, we're going to be applying for a grant to help offset some of that cost. So
The grant writing should always be in play. It doesn't hurt
Absolutely.
to send in
And
that
it's-
kind of stuff. So
No,
yeah.
and
and the grant writers should pay for themselves. So all those nervous about budgeting, like if they're doing their job, they can easily pay for themselves for writing.
100%. That was the thing, is to hire this grant writer for 2025, it cost us $10,000. I mean, if they bring in $100,000 in grant funding,
Yeah.
I mean, it's paid for itself 10 times. So
Need to hire a room full.
yeah, so that's kind of the approach that we took to do that and to get that new fire truck going, so that the fire department has what they need. But that was a story on the Facebook. Mayor canceled and sent back the fire truck.
But you'd have to have that conversation with the chief saying, we got to pause on this thing and we'll try to get the next budget. I mean, that can't be an easy discussion to have.
No, and Dave, Chief Grotch obviously did a great job fighting and advocating for this pumper. But I know they talked about the pumper was, this new one is replacing a 1994, I think they said. It's
Vintage.
really not. What it's doing is, this pumper is replacing a 2015, that's our frontline pumper. That 2015 is going to go back as a secondary vehicle, as the backup, and we're going to get rid of the 1994. So, some people are like, oh my God, they've waited so long since 1994. No, the 94 is getting replaced because the 2015 Frontline is going
Bumping it down,
back.
right.
Yes, that's so for the next comments to come out that we waited so many years to
Yeah.
replace a 1994. No, that is not what
You
happened.
looking for a feature at RCC? Need a pumper truck?
I was thinking about, is it for sale?
Absolutely.
Because I have owned a school bus before. I might
Yeah,
want to add
listen,
a fire
I'm
truck
trying to
to
get the public safety commissioner to drive that as his everyday vehicle.
Yeah.
I said, Commish, come on. How great would that be?
be a
if
great
you're driving
ride.
around a fire truck.
Yeah, people would definitely notice. you.
Absolutely. I think it'd be great. It's
Probably can't, flip on the siren though, huh?
Oh, yeah, occasionally. You got to have some fun.
Parades.
No break here for you. You ready for more?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hit me.
All right. Actually, I'm going to ask you one
Yeah.
from my head here.
Okay. I like it.
Operation
Off script.
Christmas Miracle,
Oh.
Okay.
which was
The Merry Christmas sign.
the lights that were used to be in the parking garage that started at Trinkus Manor, right? So there's some significance with memories here. You erected the wooden structure there for
Yep.
it. So they came down now.
Yes.
That structure is year round?
So for now it is. That's going to stay for right now. The plan is, when we originally built that, we wanted to bring back the Merry Christmas sign as kind of an uplifting thing for the community that's been through so much over this past year. So we worked diligently to find a location for it, get that structure erected, and then get the sign up as quickly as possible. In the meantime, we've continued to look for a permanent location for the Merry Christmas sign if that is not going to be it. It seemed to be a really good spot for it. People love driving back into the city. You come over the arterial, you can see Revere to your right. You see the Rome Water Tower. You come down the hill, and you got the big giant Merry Christmas sign. It really worked out very well. But we don't want to take down that structure that's there right now that we built, because if we don't find a permanent location or someplace else to put it, we want to be able to still put that up. And that wasn't a cheap or easy structure to build. There was actually a house there that they tore down years ago, and they just folded the walls onto each other. They were brick walls.
So you dug down about 2 inches and hit
so we had a tough time drilling those holes in there. So, but for now, that structure is going to remain. You're probably going to ask me what we're going to do with it.
Maybe, yeah. It's like gallows or something when you're coming into town. Yeah. Because before that, in the middle, or the divided part of the highway, is you have the little "Welcome to Rome" sign with your name.
Yes.
But I feel like there maybe for those months where that's not the Christmas season, maybe there should be another welcoming or advertisement there or something instead of just wood.
Yeah. So that's what we're working on right now.
Something in between.
We're working on coming up with an idea of what to put there. I was
the Daily
thinking
Sentinel,
something.
maybe?
I was thinking something sponsored by the Sentinel. I see Tom looking at me over there. I mean, something like that.
Oh, that'd be
maybe.
perfect. Yeah.
Throw that up there. It actually did. I remember when you posted it. It did amaze me that he could read. So that was.
We almost did the paper upside down for that campaign.
Yeah.
Just as
You
a play.
should have.
I know.
We
But it would have
really
been
thought
too. There
about
would have been a lot of
Yeah,
inside
that
there.
would've
It would
been
have been too.
Yeah, that would have been too much. But
And a great guy, so I couldn't.
no,
do it.
but we're absolutely. If anybody has any ideas of what to do there, we thought of, some type of welcome sign there. We are doing the sign you're talking about when you come in, the Welcome to Rome sign. That is getting redone this year. We took.
Yeah, that could be a little more
I think
significant.
$250,000 from ARPA to do all of our gateway signage this year. That's the major project because obviously it's DOT and we have to shut down the road and it's a dangerous area, 55 mile per hour zone. But that is going to be getting a new facelift along with several of the other gateway signs coming into Rome. But we do want to do something on that structure. We have to be careful because you can't just put plywood up there because then it becomes with the wind and everything. So you gotta be careful on what you do there. But we are currently working on trying to come up with an idea for that.
What if we had a parking garage by Stanway? No, sorry.
That would be perfect.
That would be perfect to put it on the side.
Yeah, I
of it.
think that
No,
when
but-
it's not that should just can you just have a billboard there? I mean, can you get in the business of a billboard, or is that okay? Or no?
It'd be a codes thing now.
Yeah, it definitely be.
Little extra revenue.
Definitely be a codes
Little
issue.
extra revenue for the
Yeah,
city.
No, it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's
Park
something we
Outdoor
can look
probably
at.
wouldn't like you much.
No, especially when we charge half of what Park Outdoor charges. Cut into their revenue a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's all things we can look into and see what we can do for that for the next. It's going to be a 6 month. 7 month thing that we need to come up with an idea to do with but absolutely we're looking into it.
Want another one?
Yeah. Hit me.
All right, let's talk about the mayor's vehicle.
Mayor's vehicle.
It's beautiful. It's shiny. Now,
I'm so glad I didn't see these before. These are great.
rumors on Facebook say that you added a new vehicle to the budget
Yep.
just for funsies.
Who wouldn't, right?
And then you raise taxes, you jerk.
Can you believe
What's
it?
the real story?
So
You
the
wouldn't do
real
that.
story on the mayor's vehicle was in 2019, the previous administration put a vehicle in the budget for 2020. They acquired a 2020 Ford Explorer on a 5-year lease, which they parked at the police department, and it sat there. And obviously I know this because I was at the police department at the time, and it used to sit in the back. And they would.
Did you guys know what it was?
Yeah, we knew what it was.
Okay.
It was the
I was like,
mayor's
why is
vehicle.
this thing here?
Yeah, well, honestly, it was because
Yeah.
we'd have to move it during snow removal.
Oh,
and
fun, yeah.
So it sat over there.
15 miles on it still.
Yeah. And they would occasionally come over and grab it and take it to different places or whatever. And I don't know if it was when they were going out of town or whatever the case may be, but it sat there. And so when I came into office in 2024, I said, hey, I'll take this vehicle and drive it back and forth. And I'm not, I'm out and about all the time. And I've been to Albany 3 times. I was invited out there to speak on behalf of our community. And I'm constantly out in the public and being out. I don't just, manage the city from sitting inside City Hall and, with locked doors and not letting anybody in. So I utilize it on a daily. And I actually was the one when we pulled it over and we were looking at where it was. It wasn't in the mayor's department. And it was actually listed under the Parks and Grounds as just another extra vehicle under Parks and Grounds. So I was
Were you
actually-
surprised when you tried to find it in the
Yeah,
budget?
absolutely. We
Where
couldn't
is this
find it.
thing?
Yeah, we
You're
couldn't
like,
find it.
Okay.
And so come to find out, it was listed under Parks and Grounds, kind of hidden. And I was the one that said, no, listed as the mayor's vehicle, and we're not trying to hide anything. So I listed it as the mayor's vehicle, and I drove it. And in 2025, it was a 5-year lease. So in 2025, the lease expired, and they ordered me a new vehicle. So the new vehicle came in, and at the time, I've seen everything on there about this vehicle. And at the time, we were paying like $586 a month because we lease our vehicles here at the city. We were paying $586 a month for the Ford Explorer. The new vehicle, it came in, it was going to be like $640 a month for the lease, which isn't bad for, a $60 upcharge after 5 years isn't too bad.
That's a win.
So they ordered the new vehicle, and that came in, and nowhere did we spend $71,000 on a vehicle. If you do the quick math, 5-year lease at $640 is what, 35, somewhere in there, 35, 40,000 that they'd spend on the vehicle.
That's a cheap lease.
Yeah, and that was so I don't know where the $71,000 came from, but
I was spreading the $100,000 rumor. So
oh, all right, perfect.
That might have been me.
Was that you? So there was that, and then when we turn vehicles back in through Enterprise, they take the vehicle, they sell it for us, and then we get the whatever's left over on top of what we owed. So I actually just yesterday found out that we turned the Explorer back in, they sold it, and we got $8,100 back. So now that $640, what we did is we took that money and put it towards the new vehicle, and they'll take that off the monthly payment. So I couldn't tell you what the payment will be now, but there'll be $8,100 coming off of that payment. So that payment of my vehicle will actually be less than what it was for the previous administration in the last 5 years. So that's the story on the vehicle. And it wasn't.
That was not nearly as sexy as I thought it was.
No, there really is, and that's the thing is you know what? I actually had this conversation yesterday because we were talking about that we were going to do this Facebook Mythbusters on this episode, and I said, you know what's funny is if people really knew how boring City Hall is, like they're really it's
so
not
more fun just to make it up and post it online.
I know, but I get that it's clickbait. I get it, and some people want to run a political campaign off of clickbait, and it's not good nor is it beneficial, but. We all got our own.
We've talked about it here, of kind of doing like how it works at the Sentinel too, because like some people that see the articles and like think we're around this round table. All right, how are we gonna cover this one? You want to get them? Want to like turn the knife too? It's like most of the time I don't even know because I don't see it until it comes out because I have editors that do this for me. Unless there's like a political issue where I have to get involved, or if there's something that's a little bit more in depth, I'll obviously get involved for protection of liabilities and stuff like that. And but yeah, people really think that. I mean, sure, there are people out there that are probably out to stir up some comments and stuff, but really, we just, our job is to report what's out there. There's really no like secret room where we're sitting and saying, "Hey,"
you have to wait and source it too.
You have to wait and source, and like we have everything back. It's entertaining.
It's the same thing in City Hall. It's like we're there every day to make sure the lights stay on and things get done in the city. There's no backdoor dealings. There's no hidden ball tricks. It's literally we're just there every day like you're operating any other business within the city and making sure that everything's getting done properly for our community and our constituents. And and like you said, we live in the era of social media now, and everybody thinks they can Google things and just jump on there and misrepresent things and it's literally just to get comments, to get clicks, and to get people stirred up. And it's unfortunate that some people want to operate that way. It's truly not something I want to see within our community as far as on an administrative side in any fashion. But, some people, they enjoy that stuff, and I don't.
And that actually is why the newspaper is here and the media company, because if there was something, we'd be sure to, even though we say here, like, just don't screw up because we'll figure it out. And I told that to all the politicians. Like, it's good for us to communicate and be open, but we're still going to be unbiased on anything that comes up. We're dealing with taxes in Utica. We're dealing with, luckily we had not a whole lot. Rome's pretty boring. Would you wake it? You're just running a tight.
We need a good scandal.
Honestly,
we need a
scandal
over there. Newspapers.
And that's what goodness. It is. And it's funny because I'm going to jump one for you, Wes.
Ooh.
But the Common Council, Like I see this, the rubber stamping, Mayor Lanigan's Common Council. First of all, the Common Councilors, other than John Spirace, who I've known my whole life because our families are commingled between my best friend that I grew up with and his wife. So I've known John my whole life. But other than that, like I didn't know these counselors prior to coming into office, campaigning and meeting them. And you hear that they're just rubber stamps for Mayor Lanigan, and whatever he wants to do, they do. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. It's like what it is I meet with probably 4 of them monthly. I have meetings in the afternoon with one of them, and morning meetings with other ones. Another one stops in, and just to get updates and things like that. So I keep them in the loop with anything that's going on, anything that my administration is doing. And then on the other side of that, when my department heads do legislation that's going to go in front of them, they write them emails to explain the legislation. So these counselors, days before the council meeting, get explanations of why that legislation is being done, and then they ask questions. And I see the email chains. They go back and forth. Hey, what about this? And my department heads, I tell them all the time, whatever questions they have, answer them, because we're not trying to hide anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to
You have to answer them at some point anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
But it makes it real easy for them when they go to their common council meetings and the legislation is put out there for them to vote on. They already have all their answers. They have an incredible working relationship with all of my department heads. They have a great working relationship with me. And it makes it real simple. They can call me anytime and with a question or a concern, and they get an answer. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with, let's take Ramona Smith, for instance. Mm-hmm. I have a great relationship with Ramona Smith. She's a Democrat. She's the only Democrat on the council. Have you heard Ramona Smith go up there one time and bash me in 15 months? No, because whenever something happens, I personally call Ramona. And I say, hey, Ramona, this is what we got going. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is somebody that was
on
the
your
other
Ramona
side.
voice?
The what?
Is that your Ramona voice?
It is. But it's, it's just having that open relationship with them and keeping them in the loop. And it was something that, several of them have been on the council for many years and through several administrations, and they've never had that before. They talk about how great it is that, they can call me. They can call me on my cell phone, and I return their calls and answer their questions. And or if they just stop in, they stop in City Hall. Hey, Counselor so-and-so's here. Okay, send them up. And
yeah.
So
I know it's
it has
often
nothing to do
said
with,
and probably trite at this point, but communication is very important. Whether you're trying to govern or in a relationship or parenting, it does make
goes
a
a long way.
difference. It really does.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and like I said, we run City Hall. It's not to bamboozle anybody. It's literally just to move our city forward and continue the daily operations and make sure that all of our constituents get what they need and our community continues to grow. And that's literally what we do every day. And that's why I said City Hall's boring. It's not, I know you guys would love to have the turmoil that you could report on and things like that.
Yep.
But there really
You're
isn't.
really screwing it
Yeah,
up.
I
It
know,
really
I'm
does
sorry.
good for the numbers
I
when there's
apologize.
something trendy.
I'll
But,
try to come up with some things.
maybe we'll plant something. We got a little. Anyway, want to get one more in there, Wes?
Let's get one more. And boy, that's a lot of pressure for the last good one here.
But this is good. We can keep this.
Well, let me
We'll
touch
keep
on the. Let me
get through a
touch
lot.
on
You
the.
pick one.
Yeah,
You know-
let me just touch on the paving.
What's one that's
grinding
your
heard
gears
that,
over there?
Well, the one that drove me a little nuts was it wasn't a Facebook thing, but it was a radio show interview, and somebody had said that the city does no maintenance paving, and that's for our roads, and I was shocked that
You mean like pothole?
replacing roads throughout the city, and we spend on average about $4 million a year on repaving roads in the city of Rome.
I can hear it now from the other side. On what?
Yeah. So in the last 5 years, I just went back just to see. In the last 5 years, the city of Rome has spent about $18 million on paving roads. So every year, our engineering department goes out. They evaluate the roads within all 7 wards, and then they send those evaluations to the counselors and say, hey, this is what we found is some of the worst parts of the city within your ward. Do you have any recommendations? Do you have any concerns, any complaints that you're getting? And then they go back and forth, and they narrow down that kind of target areas of where they're going to pave these roads. And each ward gets between $500,000 and $600,000 worth of road work every year. and we bond for $2 million, and then our CHIPS funding covers another $2 million. So that's how we get to our $4 million. So, and the city's been doing this. This isn't new to me. The city's been doing this every year for.
That's been the classic
forever.
budget line.
Yeah,
Is about $4
I mean
million a year.
it's grown obviously, but that's because paving's gone up.
Yeah,
but
just
you
inflation.
know they spent maybe $300,000 award 5 years ago, but now it's up to 500 plus. But yeah, like I just how can you say you drive around our city, and I've been through Utica. Utica's got some rough roads.
We talked about that.
We
with
covered
that
Mayor
last-
Galimi.
yeah.
And they have a whole process,
went-
and they're
it's-
really.
They went to radar scanners and everything.
Yeah.
They got a whole map now.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
switching their kind of the way they do it. We
But in
still
Rome,
do
I
it
mean,
by
your two major thoroughfares, those are state, right?
those are DOT.
So
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with you.
That has nothing to do with us. This is all kind of our neighborhood roads and things like that. But our guys do a great job with keeping on top of that. So that one kind of irked me a little bit. That it's one thing to go out there and campaign and put information, but at least have the correct information.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go out there and say the city of Rome hasn't done road maintenance since the Griffo era, I mean, imagine what our roads would look like if we haven't maintained them in 30 years.
Since Woodstock.
Yeah. So that one kind of irked me a little bit because I'm all about pushing out the information. That's the thing is if you came out there as a campaign and said, Mayor Lanigan spent $250,000 on a feasibility study for a field house. That's ridiculous. I don't think the city of Rome needs it. That's fine. Like that's what it's all about. Your ideas are different than mine. I think that we need it. We could sustain it, and I think it would be a great thing for our community. If you want to use that as a campaign platform, that's great. Like that's a great factual thing that you can put out there. Don't just make things up.
Right.
Don't just go out there and spew misinformation that is purposely out there just to get people stirred up and
Yeah, there's enough things that are factual that we can torture you about.
Exactly. Listen, I make mistakes every day. I'll admit it. It's and I'm willing to stand up there and say, hey, it didn't work out, it didn't pan out, but we gave it a shot, and it was something that we thought would be a great thing for us. And sometimes they don't land, sometimes they do, but it's just I just can't take the.
If you need some help with your social to get some of these messages out there, just let me know.
Absolutely,
we can make that happen.
Well, I think we're honestly looking into doing something along the line of
It's
a fact check Friday and going out there and saying, what,
yeah.
this information is.
That's what I was gonna say.
Flapjack Friday and fact check.
See, look at that!
Friday.
Wow.
So I did
It's gonna be a busy
Flapjack
day
Friday
the other
this
week.
morning,
Yes.
and then I did Fact Check Friday today.
Anything coming up? We got the Mayor's Ball.
yeah.
coming
Mayor's
up.
Ball is
Just
coming
a
up,
couple
so
plugs.
that's May 3rd. That's going to be going out on social media shortly for people to get in. I know the invitations started to go out, so then they'll
on the
put
desk.
it out. They'll start to put that out. That's going to be a great event up at the beaches. We have the whole place again, so we have Last Left playing for the band, which if
Solid.
you haven't seen them, they're incredible. Really looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll pack the house and everybody can have a great time. So
Cool.
looking forward to that.
All right, I like the little series we got going. I really like the social media play. I think that's got to get going. Anything you need help on that?
Okay.
But,
We can't be
Great.
dispelling too many rumors because we need some letters to the editor in the paper. Right?
Yeah, that's true too.
It's gotta
That's
keep
true,
those
too.
coming.
Those will come anyway.
Yeah,
believe
ask
me.
more questions
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you as always.
All righty.